Hey everyone, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the content that we have coming out. And for today's video, we're going to be diving into Future State Dark Detective issue number 4, and this will be closing out Dark Detective Future State line. Now it's also going to be featuring the Red Hood, which we will be covering in this video, and this one's actually a lot of fun because it finally reveals who Peacekeeper number 1 is. And I'm actually kind of relieved to know exactly who it is now. And we're going to dive into that as we approach it. So with that being said, let's dive into this issue. Okay, so issue number 4 picks us up with the Magistrate headquarters. And they're going over their little nano drones, talking about how they've improved the cloaking tech, meaning that they're pretty much unperceptible. And Peacekeeper One, he asks, at what rate are we losing drones at? And they're losing them at a rate of about 1 in 672. And so there is still a possibility that somebody finds them. And this is when Peacekeeper number 1 takes his mask off. And this is somebody that we have not seen yet, at least to my knowledge. So they introduced a brand new character for Peacekeeper number 1. And taking off his mask, he's just letting them know there's not going to be any vulnerabilities. And this is where we see Hannah. Now, Hannah is the daughter of Noah, which is the tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist that Batman is currently living with. And this is where we see Hannah get a phone call from Noah telling her that she needs to come home because whatever Bruce, aka Jeff to them, is doing on the roof is freaking him out. And this is where we cut over to Bruce Wayne building some kind of antenna on top of the roof. And as he comes down after completing this build, he's met with Noah, who has a gun. And Bruce tells him, real calmly, I just need you to put the gun down. Just chill out for me. And so whatever is going on here, these are the first steps for Bruce Wayne. His first steps at protecting Noah and Hannah. And he acknowledges this could just be another series of seemingly endless mistakes. A series of great discoveries that grew into consequences he didn't foresee. But fortunately for them, Noah's alien disruptor unit was the perfect spot to put an actual signal disruptor that hides their location. And he really MacGyvered the crap out of this thing to be able to create it. And this is when Hannah shows up just losing it. And Bruce Wayne tells her, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to trust me on everything I'm doing. And he seemingly knocks her out because they're coming. The Magistrate is headed straight for them, and they make their way out of the building into a van, and as they're driving away, the Magistrate makes their move. They go in on the building, guns blazing, all of their drones lighting up everything in sight. And we see a giant explosion. And then we cut over to the van, showing up to a location, some kind of hideout of Bruce Wayne's. And it looks to be underground. And Hannah and Noah are sitting here, and Hannah's waking up, but Noah is still unconscious. And this is where he reveals that he's not Jeff. He's actually Bruce Wayne, and the Magistrate has been hunting him. And they found his location there, and they would have killed them as well as him if they hadn't left how they did. And this is where he wants to ask her some questions. She may only be a programmer, but she may have more answers than she actually realizes. And then we find out she has actually been secretly recording Peacekeeper number 1, saying things like, for years our weakness was that we were a visible line, the visible line of justice, while the vigilantes claim the shadows. Now we will be the eyes peering out from the darkness. The musings of a dictator, if you will, just caught on tape. And this isn't the only recording she has. She has many other recordings. And she knows that no one truly understands that the Magistrate is doing all of this and what they're actually up to, and how they're stripping away freedoms for a sense of security. And so she wants to expose all of this information. And this is where Bruce Wayne tells her, I need you to stay here. At least for now, this is the safest location that you can be. And this is where he goes out as Batman, using all of the technology that he's gathered up, creating a kind of cloak for him to get in close to the Magistrate, because he's going after Peacekeeper number 1. And then we see a giant explosion, and chaos is going throughout the entire building. And this is where Batman sees Hannah on the monitors and rushes over to her to let her know that they have 4 minutes to get out of the building. And as all of this is going on, Peacekeeper One realizes that Bruce Wayne, that Batman, is in there. And he goes inside, telling the rest of the Peacekeepers to secure the building. And going inside, he straight bulldogs Batman straight to the ground. And Batman telling Hannah that she needs to run. And as these two have a epic battle, we're slowly revealing a little more about who Peacekeeper number 1 is. And he's letting us know that this is just the beginning. That he's going to do what vigilante scum like him never could. He's going to save the city. You know, Peacekeeper One really does see vigilantes as just the scum of the earth. He sees them as the last relic of a dying era, and that he is the new era, and he's going to bring Gotham into a new era of peace and tranquility. But Bruce, he's buying time. He's going to continue to fight him until this building blows up. And we see Hannah realizing that this is Batman. Peacekeeper number 1 telling Bruce Wayne that today is the day he dies for good. And Batman saying he's burning it all down. And that will be the end of this issue. Now, let's dive in to Red Hood. Now, in the last issue of Red Hood, we saw Red Hood have a bounty on his head. Now, he's been a bounty hunter for the Magistrate up until this point. And him and Ravager went looking for the Red Hood gang, only to find a trail of clues. And so as we dive into Red Hood, we see Rose, aka Ravager, sincerely considering taking out Jason Todd right here, because the bounty on his head is highly ridiculously high. But before she can even get her sword out, Jason Todd is already on the run. And this is where we cut over to Jason Todd on his motorcycle, and he's making his way out, and he gives a call to Magistrate HQ asking like, what the heck is going on? Why is my name on the bounty right now? And they tell him that it's simply just a mistake, that it's going to take a couple days to clear up, that he should probably lay low and to come into the nearest magistrate kind of safe house, and they'll take care of him. And obviously he doesn't fall for this, and he's just like, yeah, sure you're going to take care of me. And then he realized that they're actually tracing his call, and drones come in out of nowhere and blow him straight off his motorcycle. And he's doing his best to try to combat these things, but at the end of the day, there's just too many of them. He ends up taking one in the shoulder, and his mask is broken off his head. And this is where we see Peacekeeper number 3 making the rounds of the area looking for his body. But Jason Todd is able to get away, and he realizes that they're all after the helmet, the Red Hood helmet, the original Red Hood helmet, the one that's been modified. And so if this is what they're looking for, he's going to give it to them. And he puts it on, knowing that Rose is going to come looking for him. And putting it on, it does mind control to his body, and he takes off. And it brings him to a location that brings him up to a penthouse suite. And we see none other than White Rabbit. And it seems whatever's going on, White Rabbit has been behind it. Not even that, she manipulated Mad Hatter's mind control with this helmet, and so she's controlling Jason Todd with the flick of a wrist. And she's also telling us that she pretty much took over the whole operation. That she was tired of being secondhand and just went full in and took everything to its full potential. And then we see the arrival of Ravager. And Ravager tells her, like, I'm going to kill you. Do you have any last words? And more or less, she's just like, hey, listen, like, let's cut a deal. You can kill Jason Todd and collect the bounty, and I'll just take the helmet and I'll leave Gotham forever. We'll call it a day. And then Rose's response is simply, well, I could just take both of you in and get the bounty for both of you guys. And this is where she sicks Jason Todd on Ravager. And these two are battling it out until Rose cracks the helmet and breaks the hypnosis, the mind control that has been over Jason Todd. And then this is when White Rabbit's people tell her that the Magistrate is coming. And this throws Jason Todd off. He's just like, who are you working for? And why do you want that helmet? And White Rabbit tells him, you just don't get it. We have the same boss. The eyes in the sky don't want any of their plans to be discovered. You truly have no idea how far down the rabbit hole this goes. And this is when the drones come in and just open fire, laying waste to everything in sight. Jason, Todd, and Rose both being able to take cover, and this is when Jason grabs Rose and jumps out the window, attaching himself to one of these drones so he can safely land onto another building. But they still have other drones after them. And so this is when Rose grabs her knife and holds Jason Todd hostage, letting the robots know that she is claiming Jason Todd as her bounty and she is bringing him in alive. And the drones just fly away. They just leave. And as soon as this is done, first they're just like, what the? That actually worked? And Jason Todd just wants to go to her dad's secret island. He's just like, let's get away. Let's get out of this place because I can't do it anymore. And this is when we see Jason Todd and Peacekeeper number 3 talking to one another. And Peacekeeper number 3 is letting him know that he's free and clear. The Magistrate is offering him some hazard pay for his troubles, and that they're both going to be rewarded for tracking down White Rabbit. And so they were kind of using them to track down the White Rabbit so they could bring the whole operation down. And Jason Todd goes to walk away, only to hear somebody in the shadows. Now, me personally, I can only assume this is one and only Batman, but it doesn't show us who it is. But whoever it is wants Jason Todd to keep digging, to keep finding out exactly how far down this goes, and who is funding the Magistrate and why. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Dark Detective itself was a really fun issue. Like I said, we got to see a new character. We get to find out who Peacekeeper number 1 is. Now, to my knowledge, that is not a character that has been introduced into DC before. I could be wrong. I haven't been keeping up with all the Batman lines, but Batman didn't make any acknowledgement that he knew who he was, didn't call him by a name or anything of that nature. So it leads me to believe that this is something completely new and a brand new villain, which is exactly what I was hoping for. I didn't want them to reuse some character or even use one of the Robins. I really did prefer it to be this way. And then the Red Hood story was actually a lot of fun, and we got to see how the Magistrate is really using vigilantes like Red Hood to catch other people, going to the extent so far as to put a bounty on their head and make them go on the run. It was all manipulated to get him to go to White Rabbit. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and until the next issue.